Good afternoon, everybody. I want to take the time to introduce you to Jamie McLeod. She is a 3L at the University of Oregon School of Law, and also she was fortunate enough to be the first recipient of the Oregon State Bar's Diversity and Inclusion Program's Rural Opportunity Fellowship, which was a new program that began in 2015 to help encourage students to explore opportunities in rural Oregon. Ms. McLeod had the opportunity this past summer to clerk for the Honorable Cameron Wogan in Klamath Falls, and we're going to just ask her a few questions about her background and her experiences over the summer as a recipient of this fellowship. So I'd like to just get started and ask if you could tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to go to law school.
Sure, but first I'd actually like to start by thanking the Oregon State Bar. It was a really great opportunity that I had this summer. It's something I could not have done without the fellowship, and I'm just tremendously grateful to the bar for the opportunity. So my background, my academic background's in engineering and planning. I've worked in the public, private, nonprofit sectors, first managing programs. I've managed refugee programs. I've managed resettlement programs. Also worked in the public sector as a city planner, as an environmental planner for a water agency, and then also served in elected office for 8 years. I decided to come to law school because I really believe that the biggest challenges that society faces in the next few decades is around water. And so I came back to school to focus on the study of water law.
So how did you learn about the Oregon State Bar Diversity and Inclusion Department's Rural Opportunities Fellowship?
I received an email from Bonnie Williams, who used to work for our career center here at the U of O, and wasn't really sure if it was a good fit. Chatted with her, she encouraged me to apply, and so I applied, and here we are.
And I mentioned this before in the introduction, but could you tell us a little bit about where you worked and how did you find your job?
Yeah, so the year before I had met Judge Cameron Wogan at a water law conference here at the U of O, and he is working on the Klamath Basin adjudication, which is, I believe, the most interesting water law case going on in the United States right now, just because of who it involves. It involves the tribes, it involves the federal government through Federal Reserve water rights, it involves many private owners, water right owners, and it involves state water law issues as well. So it's a fascinating, diverse case. He's looking at what claims to water law, water rights in the Klamath Basin that predated the state's 1909 water law. And so it's incredibly complex. There are over 740 claims. It's a really challenging case. And he's working on taking it through the stages. There's not a tremendous amount of direction provided by state statute. There is for the initial phase of it, but not for the adjudication phase once it goes to the courts. And he's doing a remarkable job of that. And so this is was an opportunity for me to work with him, clerk for him, and to learn about that case and help him with the case management of that case.
So as part of your judicial clerkship, what kind of tasks or assignments were you generally given with Judge Wogan with regard to this case and perhaps any other cases that you were working on?
Sure. So I worked on the Klamath Basin adjudication about half time, and then as a standard circuit court law clerk the other half of the time. On the case itself, he's in case management phase of looking at moving forward on many claims, actually grouping the claims, working with a case management committee that he's helped to create to kind of manage this very complex case. So I was helping him out as I could on just different case management activities. The other part of it was, like I said, standard circuit court clerking, so providing memos, sitting in on trials, getting the opportunity of seeing the behind the scenes aspect of local court system.
So I understand that prior to law school, you actually lived in Oregon as well. So as somebody returning to Oregon and then living in Klamath Falls over the summer, where did you live while you were there, and how did you find a place to live?
So I finished high school in Southern Oregon, but in Ashland, and so it was near but very different from Klamath Falls. I was looking forward to clerking for Judge Wogan, but didn't really know what to expect when I went to Klamath Falls. In Oregon, of course, we tend to think about a urban-rural divide, and there's the kind of I-5 corridor versus the more rural part of Oregon. I had a tremendous experience. It was really, really wonderful. You find amazing people everywhere. I think there tends, those who stay within one corridor or another tend to perhaps have some hesitation about venturing out into the other areas, but it was really a great experience. In terms of finding a place to live, I initially started where everyone starts, on Craigslist. And had some luck there, but ended up finding a place real close to the courthouse through Judge Wogan. His wife had a colleague who was had a house and rented a room, and so I was really close to the courthouse. One of the experiences I found when I went to Klamath Falls, both through Judge Wogan and through the community as a whole, is kind of the best of the small town community. People are really welcoming. People are really making an effort to kind of help out and find out what you need and help you get what you need.
Well, that sounds like you had a wonderful summer, both in terms of the work life as well as the outside of work life.
Absolutely. It's Klamath Falls is a beautiful place, and like I said, the small town feel I really enjoyed. People are just friendly on a day-to-day basis. The simple little things like you approach a crosswalk and people would have the right of way and they'd stop and urge you to cross. It's simple little things that we take for granted or assume it won't happen when we live in bigger cities. But it's very sweet. But also the outdoors, it's great. My partner came and visited several times and we went canoeing and she just loves it.
Great. And would you, I mean, it sounds like I would know the answer to this, or we would know that, but would you recommend the Rural Opportunity Fellowship to any other students?
Absolutely. It's a great, great experience. It's a great opportunity. First and foremost, like I was saying before, to encourage people to kind of step outside, if they're not considering rural Oregon, to step outside their assumptions about staying within the I-5 corridor. There's not only a beautiful part of the country, there's some really great people in rural Oregon, really great experiences. I felt really fortunate because Judge Wogan, before going into trial, would sit down and talk through cases with me, and afterwards would talk through some of the cases. And I heard a lot of my colleagues who went to Portland or Salem or even stayed in Eugene, spent a lot of time in closed offices with their computer. In contrast, I spent a tremendous amount of time with Judge Wogan, hearing his thoughts about cases, hearing how he would approach things, seeing other judges also in action. It was a tremendous opportunity, a real great experience that I don't think I would have had I not gone to rural Oregon.
Great. So in the time that we have left together, is there anything else that you'd like to share with regard to your experience program?
Two things. One is just what I said before, to really encourage law students to consider rural Oregon. There's a lot of really interesting things going on in smaller communities. There's a great quality of life in smaller communities. Go in, try it for the summer, go into a community with an open mind, and just really enjoy the best of what it has to offer. True, there's different experiences you'll have in a major city versus a rural community, but there's some great, really wonderful experiences you can have. The second is, I think clerking for a judge is a great experience, whether you plan on staying within the judicial system or even be a practicing attorney outside of it. To know how the system works is really important. But as you look to work for a judge, as you look to clerk for a judge, really think about the match, not only in the court system you want to work in, but also the person you want to clerk for, because you'll be influenced by that person. And I realized that in my experience with Judge Wogan. He's a remarkable man, a perfect person for a complex case, really calm demeanor, very gentle, very friendly, a great representative of our judicial system. And I took away from that a lot more than the technical learning. I took away from that a sense of the cultural approach within the legal system, of a way to hold the law in very high regard. And so I go back to my comment of, if you're going to clerk for someone or be mentored by someone, think about how you want to be influenced, not just what the technical skills you want to learn, but how you want to be influenced by people. Because if you choose someone who you admire and respect, that will help to shape you into the kind of attorney you want to be.
Well, I think that wraps everything up, but thank you once again, Jamie, for the opportunity to just kind of share your experiences with our Rural Opportunities Fellowship Program, and I hope that you'll be able to continue to participate in our diversity and inclusion programs in the future.
Absolutely, and also, like I said, the ultimate, the bottom line impact this had on me, this fellowship had on me, is one, further emphasize the fact that I want to stay in Oregon when I graduate and practice in Oregon, but also I'm really looking forward to living and working in rural Oregon. I anticipate my partner and I will either move to Bend or possibly to Kay Falls. She really wants to move to Kay Falls now that she's experienced it. Judge Wogan and the other folks in circuit court were very gracious and very welcoming of both her and I. And it's something I really appreciate and really enjoyed and look forward to experiencing more of in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.